everyone, it's your host, Denarius Lewis. Welcome with Raw and Uncut. And today we have a special guest. I met Mr. Collins out in Las Vegas this past week, and we had a really cool and invigorating conversation around Black Father Matters and his story as being a Black father himself. But for further ado, Mr. Collins.
Thanks a lot, Denarius. Thank you for having me on here. My name is Dewan Collins. I'm 51 years old. I'm a father of two, ages 30 and 14. My oldest son, Deontay, is a recording artist living in Illinois. My youngest son, Isaiah, is currently in an adoptive home illegally here in New York through the alleged Child Protective Service System. And then he has been the reason why I've been fighting for so many years to reunite my son with his family. And I'm not going anywhere until my son is reunited.
I love that. And for what you want to express, tell a little bit about this upcoming book that you're writing and the story, what you're talking about.
Well, to be honest, I was having a book written by some ghostwriters out of California, but I didn't like the work that they was doing. And I just told them, that's okay, you can keep part of my money, send me the other part back that you didn't earn. And so right now it's just on standstill, but the name of the book is going to be Saving Isaiah. And it's going to map out my fight from day one, from back 2007 to currently, everything that has happened here in New York while I was incarcerated on unrelated charges. And it's just going to map up all of the obstacles that I went through as a father and an incarcerated father as well, to have my son home with his own family instead of with a stranger.
And I totally agree with that. We have a epidemic, unfortunately, with kids being taken away from their family and then becoming a state of the ward and then eventually into the foster care system.
Yeah.
And we have this narrative, unfortunately, with the black community, that fathers aren't present in their lives. And I've come from a single parent household, so I understand that story. But we're here to rewrite that story. So when we connected out in Vegas, I loved your passion behind not only your mission, but what you're doing, not only for your kids, but also helping other people that you're mentoring them
Yes.
towards them finding their story and navigating themselves in life. Where did this passion and drive come from? So, in your own life.
Well, the passion came from when I was wrongfully arrested and convicted for a robbery back in '96. For robbing a drug addict for $10, for allegedly for robbing him for $10 and 3 bootleg tapes, and I got 5 to 10 years for that. They offered me a 3-year sentence as a cop out, and I rejected it. And I told myself, you remember the old saying, "The truth shall set you free." Well, I went into that jury and told the absolute truth, and I was never set free physically. My freedom did, however, come in the form of knowledge and experiences. And I took up the legal research course when I was in prison, and I've been studying the law, and I find out in a lot of cases that these attorneys drop the ball intentionally on a lot of cases. And I've been able to help so many men get favorable dispositions in their criminal cases, as well as visitations and other rights concerning their children while in prison, because a lot of them didn't understand the legal system, didn't understand how to read or comprehend what they read. So it was imperative for me, and therapeutic for me to help them, because every time I help somebody, I help myself as well, because I gain more information, I gain more experience.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And with all this happening, what is the message that you would like to get out to the world? And again, this is a conversation I've been having with many people, not only with Rowling's conviction of African American men, but just African American men in the prison and school pipeline system. And to see a father striving to be a part of their kid's life, we have this narrative that's always written for us. And so, with all that you do in your daily work and in your daily life, what would you say to someone that's going through something similar, or that has had the drama with it that they would have with not only reestablishing themselves back into the society by being wrongly convicted, but also doing their best to have society not see them for anything that again that was never they were never a part of. You're a person that's obviously walking by faith, a man of God, and so what other messages would you relate to anyone that is out there hearing that maybe resonate with your story that also would love to find some solution in their own lives?
Well, I can only speak from what I know. And for me, that's to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him. He should direct your path. First and foremost, you have to have a relationship with the Creator. Um, to see a change in your situation. You know, aside from that, you got to have determination and commitment. Like never give up on what you believe in. You know, you got to pick your battles because there's a lot of battles that can be fought. You know, but you must not become distracted with what's relevant with what's irrelevant. You know, you got to prioritize your life. What's more important? You know, because some fights can be fought at a later time. You know, and everything is about time management. You know, so that's what I would say.
I love that. I love that. And so, with all that you're doing right now, what are some of the things you're looking to do in the next 2 to 5 years towards not only progressing and pushing the book out, but mentoring? What are some of the things you're looking to do, and all in your career?
That's funny you should ask that because I just testified through the grace of God at the New York State Assembly out here on the Standing Committee for Children and Families, which was a long, grueling process of testimonies from different people, attorneys, parents. It lasted from 11 all the way to 7. And out of there, I was able to network with some journalists, people from the Daily News, the Imprint magazine, and other parents who have been affected and impacted by the Child Protective Service System. And I was just in a conversation with a sister just right before this podcast, and to hear her story, I was like, "Wow, you didn't know any of that, right?" I says, "Wow, okay, well, yeah, you can definitely use my assistance in this area because a lot of what they did was criminal, right? A lot of what they did was criminal to take our children." And I'm seeing like I'm only one person, right? I can't be everywhere. So one of the things that I've been wanting to do is to teach people their basic rights, you know, to teach a legal research course and so that people can fend for themselves because the system is not going to do it for you. The system is designed against you. So what makes you think they're going to be for you? If you don't have the money, you don't have the right color, you know, then those are 2 strikes against you. The third strike is us being ignorant as the Black people, right? We're ignorant of our rights and we're ignorant of where to go for help. What are the resources available to us? You know, we're just ignorant on a lot of things. And a lot of us, unfortunately, choose to stay ignorant because they still want to rely on man, court appointed attorneys, the same system that got them in the situation. They still want to rely on them to get them out the situation. How ignorant is that? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. So what I want to do is I want to teach people to basically to know what their rights are and how to defend them.
I love that. I love that. And I know you told me you had a story of an example of that. If, would you care to share about that? I love it.
Yeah, well, I actually have 2. The other one that I shared with you was kind of a bit depressing because of this, how it ended up for that guy. Not my fault though, you know. Yeah, but so there was another guy. I don't know which story did I tell you. I think
Individual, he represented himself with a
okay, so the
technicality.
Carlton Campbell story, right? So there was a young man. His name was Carlton Campbell. This was probably back in like 2010. He came to Rikers Island here in New York into the law library, and he came in and asked a correction officer who was the nicest in the law library with the law, and the officer told him go see Collins. So the young man comes to see me, and I have a long line of kids waiting to talk to me, despite the fact that there are other law clerks there. So he comes up to me and asks me for my help, and I says, "Well, what's your story?" He says, "I'm innocent." I said, "Well, you need to stand in line with all the other innocent young men." So he was like, "No, TOT, OT means old timer." So he was like, OT, no, I'm for real, I'm innocent. I didn't do this. He says, yeah, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I am on parole, but I didn't do these robbery. He said, I'm on parole for robbery, but I didn't do these robberies. I looked at this man's paperwork, and this man had 21 counts of robbery on it in his indictment. And I was like, wow, the kid was no more than 17, 18 years old at that time. And I told him, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to convince me of why I should take a look at your paperwork. So he basically told me his story, and I took a look at his paperwork, and within 10 minutes of looking at his paperwork, I saw there was an issue with identification. So I made a deal with him. I said, okay, if you want my help, this is what I want from you. I want you to get your GED and stay away from gangs, stay out of trouble. And so he agreed. And I said, okay. So I gave him my information so we can remain in contact while I'm upstate and he's in the city, on the county. And I went upstate and I went to this jail called Downstate Correctional Facility, who had a nice law library. So I go in there and spend money out of my account to have a pamphlet called Eyewitness Identification. It's about that thick, and I copied it. And when I went back down to Rikers Island, because I was going back from Fishkill Correctional Facility to Rikers Island to go to Brooklyn Family Court because I was fighting for my son, Isaiah. And I went down to Rikers Island and I called him to have him come to the law library, and I gave him the pamphlet. I said, yo, listen, this is your Bible. You eat, sleep, drink, shit, this Bible. Whatever you do, you're going to be doing with this Bible from this point forward. If you have no friends, there's nobody here that's your friend, because nobody's going to help you get out of the situation that you're in but you. Okay, so he was like, okay. So I left him with that. He had to study it on his own. And I told him, when it comes time for you to speak in court, you have to speak like a gentleman. Speak respectfully, raise your hand. Ask the judge if he can allow you to speak, or ask a question. And I told him, don't do what I did. Don't spaz out. Don't allow your emotions to overtake you, because it can be very emotional in there, emotionally charged atmosphere. And the next thing you know, he sends me a kite, which is a letter saying, yo, you should have saw it. I asked the judge who was the arresting officer in this case, and the judge said to him, he said, yeah, that's a good question. He turns to the prosecutor and said, yeah, who was the arresting officer in this case? And the prosecutor, according to the young man Carlton, he says, yo, the prosecutors start moving papers on their table, shuffling papers, talking about they don't know, right? They don't know who the arresting officer is in their case. So the judge told them that when you come back to court, you better find out who the arresting officer is. So he told me in his letter, he said, yo, uncle, I'm uncle at this point. At first I was OT, right? Now I'm uncle. So he's like, yo, uncle, yo, you're going to be mad at me, but I took time served. They came at me with time served. I had 14 months in, so I took that and ran with it, because the Manhattan District Attorney don't play fair, which they don't. So I'm like, yo, my man, that's your life. Me personally, I would have fought it. I wouldn't have taken nothing. Like, we going to trial with whatever. We going in these hearings. But he accepted the time served. And that worked out for him, because had it not, 21 counts of robbery on his indictment, plus you were already on parole for robbery, he probably still been in prison right now, if I didn't intervene in his life. But with that, it just showed me that people can learn the law if they want to. They just need to be told what to learn, how to learn it, and a little mentoring along the way, man. Here, this kid was 18 years old, and he he knew enough how to defend himself, And when I saw that, the idea came to me, like, man, I can teach this on a larger scale, because it's like when you help somebody, right? You want them to pay it forward.
Yep.
So you don't have to give anything back to me, just pay it forward. So if I can get a class of young people, old people, doesn't even matter, as long as you have the comprehension to be able to understand, read and understand, that's all you need. Then we can change our situations, we can change our environment, and together we can change the world. Because as we look around us, people are getting fed up with the systems of the world, man. We're tired of the systems, whatever system of the world it is, we're tired of it, whether it be criminal, family, the IRS, the bill companies are like, we're tired of these systems, man. Every time we turn around, the systems of the world have their hand somewhere in our lives. and 9 times out of 10 is not good. So if I can just train one person who can help somebody else and help somebody else, then together, man, we can change our situation and our lives and possibly the world.
I totally agree with you, and it really starts with one person at a time.
Yeah,
And the only way we really help someone is tell them a story how we helped ourselves. And so
yeah,
it started with you. Obviously, unfortunately, have to go through the trial and error, and then helping others navigate themselves through the trials, literally, and all the errors that are within the systems that literally were never built for us. They're built against us to actually,
yeah.
shackle, imprison, and monopolize us. And so it becomes a system, becomes a broken. And I love that you're starting again by just telling people your story. And so when I heard your story, obviously Vegas, it resonated with a lot of the people I not only have conversations with, but people again who just want a chance at life, and life's throwing us the curveballs that were so unexpected. But us also knowing how to run with it, give it, hit it back, and point life in the direction that we seek it. I love that. I love that completely. And so, where are you currently located right now? And what is your next 30, 60, 90 day plan? If it's not diving, 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 diving. I know you get that joke.
Mine's is Crown Royale, Crown Royale, Crown Royale.
Crown Royale.
It's funny you say that. Uh, See, well, my situation, because we are members of Secret, um, yes, that is my second passion, but my first passion is helping people, man, with their situations concerning the government, like whether it be family or criminal, because to me that hits home and resonates home because I've been affected in a negative way by both the criminal and the family. I'm still fighting for my son some 13 and a half years later to reunite my son. And I hear people's situations and like it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Um, but the only way that I can help them is to help them help themselves. So my next 30, 60, 90 days is going to be building my brand, to have a platform to where people can get the help that they need, in addition to doing my diamond, diamond, diamond. So I'm actually going to have to, in fact, juggle both of them, make time for both of them. Um, but I believe God has me on this journey with a passion in the legal field because of my experiences. He allowed me to go through what I went through because he knew that I can handle it, even though I didn't think I can handle it because I really wanted to, I had really thoughts of suicide ideations, 5 to 10 years for something I didn't do in a strange state. Mind you, I have no family members here in New York except for my son that I've been fighting for. The rest of my family is in Chicago. So me being in a strange land reminded me about a lot of Bible stories that I read, and I was seeing myself in all the Bible story. I was like, yo, David, uh, 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 like Moses, it's certain stories, that I can that resonates with me. But my future is in God, and however God has me going, that's the direction that I'm going. And I know that it's in the field of the legal field, helping families, be reunited, man, and addressing people's criminal wrongful convictions and wrongful arrests. Like, I think that's more important, like, because family is a First Amendment constitutional right, the right to associate with family. Like, how dare you come in here and sever this holy institution called family? If you take a look, man, families are eroding. It starts with marriage. Divorces are high. Families are almost non-extinct. I mean, like non-existent. And this 13 and a half, 14 years being separated from my son, and with just recently, I just was able to see him back in May of this year for a 3.5 hour visit, and that was kind of weird. It was like we didn't know what to say to each other. We was acting weird. Like, you're my son, but I know I just can't come back into your life like that because of what the damage that's been done to you. You've been traumatized. You've probably been brainwashed, told I gave you up, didn't love you, your family didn't love you. That's why you with the foster parent. And which is all a bunch of lies, because when I popped up, I surprised everybody. I've just popped up over her house with my fiance and one of the neighbors, and I just popped up and I said, yo, Isaiah, your dad is here, and I've never stopped thinking about you. I never stopped fighting for you. I never left the state of New York, because had I done that, I would never have this opportunity right now to see you right now. So my son was the only reason why I stayed here in New York. All my family kept telling me to come back, come back, come back, but I knew they didn't understand my mission. I wasn't looking to be safe or be comfortable. I was looking to be uncomfortable in a state I don't know anything or anybody, and God had me on a mission. And I know that mission is to help other families, man, help other individuals who have been wronged by the system. And at some point, allow me in my position with Club Secret to help people change their lives, because it takes money, right? So I see they both go hand in hand. So when God does bless me with abundance of money, then I can be able to do the things I want to do. Because ultimately, I was just talking to a young lady who was on the phone asking me for her help, asking me for my help. I told her, I said, yo, we need to get together and put down a think tank. And I need to be able to sit down and teach you guys this, because everything that I told you, it can be looked up and researched, but you don't know where to research it at. You don't even know what words to look up, but I'm going to be establishing a foundation called the Isaiah Foundation. It's going to have a family law unit in there, a criminal law unit, which is it's going to be a wrongful conviction unit, a wrongful arrest and wrongful conviction unit, a family law unit, and a pro-peace unit against gun violence, gang violence, domestic violence, any type of violence. We're going to have something in there as well. So it's going to be a foundation that addresses all three issues: criminal, family, and violence. And it's going to be for people who can't afford the expensive attorneys, the better attorneys, That's what it's going to be for.
I love that, and I commend you for that drive and that passion. And we're coming to the end. How can people stay connected with you and follow you on this journey?
Well, I don't have a website as of yet. So if anybody knows how to build websites, I would be appreciative in helping me to build a website. But for now, they can email me. My email is Dewan Collins, D as in David, JUAN COLLINS 50 @gmail.com. You can find me on IG, Dewan.Collins.150, and that's my Facebook account name as well.
I love that, and I love it because the only person who knows your story is you. And so one thing I've learned in the world of defining our own story and then telling our stories to the world, sometimes it falls on deaf ears. And
Yes.
so you're definitely the person that's taking the action and making the sacrifice to, again, be a part of not only your son's life, but helping others do something similar for their children as well. So you're definitely doing God's work. You're definitely on the mission. And so I commend you, and look forward to staying connected and then seeing you on some of these upcoming trips with Secret. But again, I heard your story out in Vegas. It resonated with what we're doing with one of our businesses, our Reform. We have our Black Father Matter shirts, and from my perspective, I grew up with a single parent household and grew up with my dad, and the little relationship that I did have with him, I've had to go through my own healing. I've had to go through my own narrative, and with me partnering and meeting so many people, and now being the godfather for my business partner's child, seeing the responsibilities that you would have to be the man that you're destined to become. And so, again, I've always loved the narrative and wanted to create my own and be something different, because there's someone always writing our story rather than us be the person to write our own. So when you said you're writing this book, raising Elijah, it reminded me of my business partner whose name is Elijah too, and just the holiness of that name, and again, the righteousness of someone really wanting to be a part of someone's life. And so I commend you, and I look forward to seeing the success of not only your endeavor, your journey, but again, the success of all you're going to give to others in their path to righteousness and a rightful conviction to those who put them in the wrong conviction.
Right. Also, let me just say, you asked me how can people support me. In addition to helping me build a website, I can use someone to help me put together a legal defense fund for my for reunification of my son. It costs, because it does cost money, um, as almost anything that we do in the courts, if we want to get some type of justice. So I can use help in a GoFundMe, help setting up a GoFundMe page, a legal defense fund for saving Isaiah. Um, and just supporters, whether or not it'd be to come to any court hearings, whether it be in physical or Zoom, because my fight is not over. I'm still in the trenches right now in a criminal case, in a pending criminal case that's been manufactured against me as well. Um, so we can talk about that another time, because that's not
Yeah.
about what this is about. But since I've been in New York, man, I've been going through the ringer with the Manhattan District Attorney. The Manhattan District Attorney have a vendetta out for me, because they didn't like the fact that I represented myself in a previous case and got one of their sale counts, their top charge dismissed, you know, through representing myself through the grace of God, you know. But I can definitely continue to use help in the way of support of emails, just to give me encouragement, prayers. All that is appreciated.
Perfect, perfect. And I definitely will follow with you and look forward to staying connected. And want to thank you for jumping on the show today, speaking your truth, and us supporting you on this in this journey. So thank you again, and look forward to staying connected.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for having me, bro. I appreciate you, black man. Thank you. You're doing a lot, King. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.